Several of you mentioned that it was a tool that you utilize to analyze your clients and your campaign performance. So I've previewed Daniel's presentation, and there's a lot of really good information on here and some tips about how you can sort of use Google Analytics more effectively and some tips and tricks there. So Daniel probably has the coolest job title at Google, Analytics Advocate. I certainly wish that was my title. That's really cool sounding. So let's welcome Daniel up here to talk about analytics.
Hi. Yeah, so I'm an analytics advocate at Google, and basically my job is to help people understand the power of data, or how to make the best out of data. And so one of the subjects that I like is snooker. And I grew up in Brazil, and back then in Brazil, when I was a teenager, snooker was not very well seen. It was a place where people go to smoke and drink and just to kill some time. And probably some of it is because of this movie.
Paul Newman, Tom Cruise, in a Martin Scorsese picture. You got the eye, get the stroke, get the freak. This is the best. We have a resource here, a thoroughbred. You make him feel good, I teach him how to run. I'm not your daddy, I'm not your boyfriend, so don't be playing to take care of your partner.
So, that's, I think, part of the reason that snooker was very, badly seen and had a very bad branding. And then, so I didn't have a lot of chance to play snooker. My parents didn't like it. And then I moved to Israel when I was 23. And a new chapter started when it comes to snooker. And I met my wife, and it so happens that her brother is a professional snooker player. So he was a snooker champion. And every Friday we started watching snooker. And then my son was born, and lately, he started getting more interested into snooker. And my brother-in-law started teaching us snooker. And it's an amazingly smart sport. I really enjoy it now. And it's not one of the things. It's not just about pocketing a ball, right? So you have the colored balls and you have the white ball, and then you have to pocket all the colored balls. But you have to leave the white ball in a place that you can pocket another ball. So you have always to think a few steps ahead, right? And that's, I think, a very smart thing. And apart from that, you have, all those techniques, physics, right? You have to understand where you have to hit the ball so that it will go to the other side, right? Something. So it's a very smart game. Now this guy, he made Mr. O'Sullivan, he made 7.5 million pounds just playing snooker. So yes, you can make money out of it. But my objective today is, I think most people use analytics as amateurs use snooker just to kill time. Right? So if they get into analytics, they see how many visits, how many page views, time on site, and bounce rate, and they're killing time, and they don't really make money out of it. So the objective today is to give you some techniques that you can use to go from killing time to making money out of Go analytics. So first of all, I think the first thing that we have to keep in mind is analytics process. And here, I really like this chart. It's from the 90s. His friend, he's called Jim's chart. He did this chart. And I think it explains really well the objective of analytics. And he called it the drunken man chart. That you have to go from martinis to tequila shots. That's the way he described it. So here you can see 3 lines, which is acquisition, persuasion, and conversion. And most websites, they start on top left, and then as time goes, if they use analytics, they should reach the bottom right. So the first one, as you can see, you acquire a lot of people, right? But you don't know anything about them, so you can't really persuade them into doing something on the website. And as you start using analytics, you understand who is coming to the website, how you can help them, or how you can persuade them into doing something. And sometimes you'll find a bug, right? People go up to the cart and then they just don't find the button, right? So that's another example. And then in the last one, the bottom right, you can see that maybe you'll acquire less people, but you'll manage to persuade them into converting. Okay? No, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work.
Real close to your mouth and then into
So good. Now that's the main goal of analytics. And now I just would like to go through a very brief, web analytics process, right? How should it work on the company? It's failing, right? It's kind of distractive. Should I just? Okay. Yeah, but I'm not. So, we spoke about. So we spoke about this is the objective of analytics. Now, how does it work inside companies, the web analytics process? So the first one, companies should go into the analytics journey, defining goals. And I think defining goals, most people, they underestimate the power of defining goals, because when you ask someone that has an e-commerce website, what's the goal of the website? They'll say, selling things. But selling things is a very narrow way of looking into goals. You should look into multiple goals in terms of macro goals and micro goals. I'm getting distracted by the microphone, I'm sorry. So micro goals, there are goals that will lead people into doing more important things. I can't concentrate.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. So micro goals and macro goals. Micro goals are smaller things like viewing a product or liking a product, creating +1 product, and then macro conversions are the ones that really matter, right? Really affect the bottom line of the website. So the first really important thing is to define goals, and all the goals. We should be very comprehensive when defining goals. Then we should build KPIs, which is key performance indicators. So are the numbers, which numbers can you use to track those goals, right? To track my success on those goals. So this is the second thing. It's very important. And now you know that exactly which numbers you really need, and then you go to collect the data. Right? Because most companies, they just start with, someone wants to see to the software engineer, and then the developer, and the developer implements it on the website. And so that's the reason it's very important to define the goals. Which numbers will I need, and then you can tweak the code and and let the developer implement so that it can collect the data. Now the fourth one, analyzing the data. I think it's very important, right? You have to analyze it, otherwise you can't understand anything from the data. And then we'll find things like, for example, the cart page is not working, right? That's something that you might find from analyzing the page. And what we recommend people to do is testing. So we have inside Google Analytics a feature that lets you do A/B tests. So, for example, you find out that the cart is not working, you can design 2 alternatives, right? And then you can add those 2 alternatives to content experiments, which is a feature on Google Analytics. And Google Analytics will randomly send people to those 3 pages, and you can see which one works best based on the data, right? So that's testing the alternatives. Once you test them, you'll find the best alternative, and you should implement on the website. And then everything can change, right? Because you changed something on the website, and then maybe there will be another bottleneck, and you should keep analyzing and optimizing the website. Okay. Now, just know that in the title of this slide, I wrote a web analytics process. It's not the web analytics process. This is a good web analytics process, in my opinion, but it might not work for you. I mean, that's why I think it should be very, very tailor-made for each company. So you should look at your needs, the size of the company, and the people that you have, the set of skills that you have, and then try to find a process that will work for your company. Any questions about the process? Okay, so let's go into 4 principles that I think you should always have in mind when you're using analytics. So the first one is trends, right? When you see this, what does it tell you? Nothing, right? This is a data point. A data point, there were 3,000 people on the website yesterday, or maybe even, if you have more information about this data point, it doesn't tell you much. First of all, you need to see a trend, right? You want to see if it's going up or down. That's the first thing that you want to see across, different months or weeks or even years. Now, some websites, and I'll say most websites, they're seasonal, right? So, the best example is travel. So if you're looking into, comparing, seeing the trend from January to July, of course it's going up, because it's going from winter to summer, right? So it's really important to try to compare trends as well. So if you have data from January to July this year, and then compare it to January to July last year, then you can see a much more interesting figure. So that's about trends. Now the second one is segmentation. And I think, I like to say that segmentation is the single most important thing when it comes to analytics. And I'm going to use, 2 Lego building case studies that I, play at home in my free time. So the first one we just ordered, and we received in January the Death Star from Star Wars. I think it's the single biggest Lego set on Earth, and it's I think 3,800 pieces. And when you order something like this, you ask yourself, how am I going to build that, right? And that was for my son. He's 7 years old, and is it okay? Is it not okay? I mean, does it come everything a mess? And of course, Lego, they know more than that, right? They know how to lead you, how to give you a hand so that you can build something. And that's the way it comes. It comes a huge box and 4 boxes inside. Right? And you open it and you get those 4 boxes. Where should I start? Number 1. So I open number 1, and it's really nice because they have dozens and dozens of plastic bags numbered, right? From 1 to whatever, 50. And then you have all those plastic bags, and you know where. Now, inside those plastic bags, there are even other plastic bags, smaller plastic bags. So it's a very, very nice way of helping you to build something, to accomplish a mission, right? I have a mission to build the Death Star, and Lego is helping me build that thing. Now that's what it looks like. Now, case study number 2, and then I'll go back to Google Analytics. Angry Birds. So most, many kids like Angry Birds, and when you like Angry Birds, you like Lego, and you want to build an Angry Bird out of Lego, right? That's something natural. And if you go to your Lego room and it looks like that, it will be pretty hard, right? Because you need to look for the red pieces, and you'll take one at a time. It will take like weeks to build just one Angry Birds. And this is the actual factory in Denmark. Those people, they're Lego designers. They, design the sets, and they have, it's really organized, and you know exactly where to find the piece that you need. So if you, right, that's, you know where to find every single thing, and you can go there and just build whatever you have in your mind. Now, that's how it looks like, right? Those are the Lego Angry Birds that we have. Now, how does it relate to Google Analytics? So I like to divide segmentation. We're talking about segmentation, remind. And I like to divide segmentation into two types of segmentation. One is mission-driven, and second one is on the fly. So, for example, you have something that you do every day. So if you organize it, you have a mission every day, you have to check something on Google Analytics, that's a mission, right? You can plan for that it's ready for you when you need. And on if you want to know, for example, so how many people are coming to the website using Chrome on Paris, right? That's every day. So that's on the fly. Two types of segmentation, and see how we can do them on Google Analytics. First one, all right, let's start from mission driven. So creating views, right? So how many people have logged into Google Analytics? At least once. Right. So that's what you should see. Now that's if you logged in, more than a week ago, you wouldn't see this. So we did some change last week, so you should go back today. So you will see this, and this, it's very nice and it gives you some information, but it's not very useful in terms of, how is it growing, which segments are growing on the website. Well, I don't know, right? Is my PPC campaign going well? I don't know. So one of the things, so maybe for looking at the PPC results for your website, right? And that's something you do every day or every week, and you know that you look at the PPC numbers. One of the things that you can do is to create a view that includes only PPC, so that every time that you log into the website, you see only PPC data, right? So what you should do is you should click here on admin, and then you'll go into all your views, right? And then you can create a new view. Now, once you do that, you have a new view, and then you'll go to create a filter, right? And in this filter, you can see that I'm including CPC. In Google Analytics, we call it CPC. That's important. And then I can say the filter field, which is campaign medium, includes CPC, right? That's something. And then every time that you log into Google Analytics, you'll see only PPC data, right? And you can do that for anything. You can do that for not anything, but for most of the data you have on Google Analytics, you can do that based on a country. So if you're responsible for the UK traffic or the US traffic, you can do that for a specific browser if it interests you, or mobile data and desktop data, and see those kinds. So if you have something that you do every day or every week, you should create a view so that you can more easily navigate through Google Analytics. That's example number one, and the big advantage of it is that it saves a lot of time. So instead of every time getting into Google Analytics and starting segmenting the data to see just PPC data, you just log in and see straight away what you're looking for. Now, number two, custom dimensions. As you can tell, like Star Wars. So every person has three types of identifiers, right? So every person has a personal identifier, so things that the person carries throughout life, right? So which is gender, eyes, the color of the skin, so things that don't change, in your lifetime usually. There are daily identifiers, which things that you wake up, you choose your earrings, you do your makeup, hairstyle, and then you use it till the end of the day, right? So that's there are daily identifiers. And then the ambient identifiers are things that you change every time that you go into another room. So for example, winter clothes, sunglasses, and this kind of thing that you keep changing throughout the day. Now Google Analytics is the same, just call it differently. So we have visitor level custom dimensions I'm talking about, session level, and page level. So the visitor level, so if I want, for example, someone comes to the website and purchases something, right? So they purchase, for example, a helmet, right? So I know that this person likes bicycles. And when this person purchases something, I want to know the next time that this person comes to the website that this person has already bought something from the website. And maybe I also want to know that this person bought something related to bicycles, right? And those things are things that will not change, because once a person buys something, there will always be a buyer, right? They bought something on the website, they know me, and they're coming back. So I might use a custom dimension to tag this person as a buyer or as a biker as well. Now, session level are things that, I want to know what a person did on this session, right? From the moment that they started browsing the website until they left the website, right? That's a session. And I'll give some examples afterwards. And then page level are things that I want to know for each page that the person comes, what did they do, or something about the page, right? So just as I mentioned the example of buyers and bikers, something that this person likes cycling. And then session level, if I have, for example, a promotion on my homepage, right, something, and I have two different banners, right, leading people to different places. I want to know, once a person clicks on this banner, if they bought something during this session or not, right? Because I'm comparing these two banners. So, and this is only relevant for the current session, because in the next session, it doesn't matter anymore if the person saw banner 1 or banner 2, right? So that's something that you should look at session level. The page level could look, for example, if you have if you're a publisher and you have a website with many people writing for you, you want to group all the pages based on the author of an article, for example. So for each page that someone visits, it's a different author, right? So, and then each page that the person visits, you can send a custom dimension to Google Analytics saying, that's the author of the page that this person saw. And then later, when you're analyzing the website, you can group all the pages by author and see, what's the time on site for each author, what's the bounce rate for each author, and this kind of information. So the big advantage of this approach is that you can add your own definition. So if you have, for example, premium customers or silver customers and gold customers, you can use your own definitions, and then it becomes more logical. When you're mentioning Google Analytics or showing Google Analytics to someone, you're using your own definitions. People understand it faster, right? So I think it's a much more successful approach. And yes. So just to remind, I talked about mission-driven segmentation. So we have two main ways, which is creating views for you so that you can save time. And the second one is custom dimensions, that you can add your own definitions to Google Analytics data. Now let's talk about on the fly. So let's suppose you have a very burning question. So there are people, there's a Tour de France, right, in a month or in a few weeks. And you want to see how it affected your data, and you want to see people that came from temperature, right? So from a specific region on England where the Tour de France is going by, right? So well, you don't plan for these kind of things, or sometimes you do plan, but not always. Again, you log into Google Analytics, you'll see this same interface, and now you want to segment the data for something that you didn't plan on. Now, if you click on here, Add Segment, there's a drop-down, and and you'll see this screen. And here, you will manage. First of all, you have a lot of built-in segments. So things like direct traffic, paid search traffic, referral traffic. They're all built-in segments, and you can just click on them, and then you'll start seeing the data based on them. Or you can create a new segment based on your needs. Now, once you click on create a new segment, you'll be given this interface, and you have lots of ways to segment your traffic, and I mean, it's important to know exactly what you want. So in our example, if you want to know people coming from Cambridgeshire, you would go to demographics, and then you'll choose the region that you're looking for. So the advantage of this approach, there's a misspelling here. I'm sorry. It's retroactive. There are two misspellings, right? I'm sorry. Right? I'm sorry for that. So the first one is retroactive, so which means the two approaches that we saw before, the mission-driven, there are things that they start working from the moment that you implement them. Right? So if you create a view, you start collecting data for this view just in the day that you create this new view. And custom dimensions, same thing. So you start collecting data for the custom dimension data when you implement them on the website. And here, it's not like that. So once you do that, once you create a segment and apply it to the data, you can see retroactive data as well. Right? And also we have a solution gallery, which is a place where you can download segments that other people did. So if you, for example, you have so AdWords, they have tons of segments there that people have created, you know, things that it helped them analyzing, for example, PPC campaigns. And you can go there and download. You can also upload and share segments with other people. That's a bold statement. Now, one of the quotes that I like very much is by a man named Brandeis, who founded a university in the US, and he abhors averages. And one of the things that he said is that you know, a man that eats 3 meals one day and 3 meals the other is not the same as a man that eats 6 meals one day and 0 the other, even though they have a 3 meal a day on average, right? So I think looking at averages is a very problematic thing, and every time that you go into Google Analytics, you should segment the data so that you see, for example, if the traffic is growing, who is growing the traffic, right? Is it my PPC campaign? Is it, you know, organic traffic? Is it, you know, just a link that someone added on a blog, right? So this is the kind of thing that we should always be looking for. So segmentation grows. Thank you. So enriching data is the third one. So one of the things that I learned in university, I did a master's in operations research, is so there are all those kinds of models, and one of them that I like is GIGO, they call it. It's garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't have rich and insightful data coming into Google Analytics, you can't get, you know, rich and insightful insights from it, right? So it's very important to enrich the data when you're looking into Google Analytics. And first step, there is one very small feature, it's not very prominent, which is called annotations, right? So here you can see there is a very a big spike on the data. Now, what caused this spike? It might be several things, right? It might be a link to the website, which in this case we would know because we see on the data. But it might be that I presented on a very high-profile conference. And a lot of people came to the website. Now, if that's the case, if that's something offline or a TV campaign, now you don't know where people came from the data, right? And it might be people leave companies, right? And people change jobs, and if in 6 months from now, if you look at this data, no one will know what is it about. And so it's very important to annotate the data. If you click on the point, and then there's a drop down here, you can add annotations. So you annotate the data so that to give context to people analyzing it. So that's a very important thing to do. When you have and just not for everything, right? So if you have an email campaign, for example, you should tag your campaign so that Google Analytics can see that there was an email campaign. If you have campaigns on CNN, whatever you can see on the data, you don't need to add an annotation, right? But then if someone needs a context, they will look on the data segment and they will see, people came from a CNN link that we got featured on CNN or BBC. So that's annotations. Now, number 2, dimension widening. So we have here Banana Republic, and if you look at the URL of this page, they have just you don't learn a lot of things on Google Analytics. So if they had a default implementation, which is not just adding the Google Analytics snippet to the website and start collecting data, they wouldn't see a lot about this page. They would see just the product ID, right, which is in the URL as well. Now, on their databases, they know a lot about this page, right? They know that, which model they use. So they have 3 men that are models for their shirts. They have, all the default colors, the sizes, and, this is PK polo and type of shirt. So a few questions that I would ask if I was responsible for the website is, should black be the default color, right? Might affect how people purchase on website. Second one is PK better than vintage, so they have the PK collection and they have the vintage collection. Now, what's my conversion rate? What's this guy's conversion rate? Right? Is it good or not? So, and what dimension widening is a feature on Google Analytics that lets you upload things to Google Analytics. So, for example, if I have the product ID and I want to bring some information from my database into Google Analytics, for example, saying this page is about, it has, John wearing a black shirt, it's a PK page and, has this and that size. So you can upload this information to Google Analytics and suddenly you can start doing much more meaningful analysis. Like, you can start grouping, for example, PK collections and vintage collections. You can start grouping all the pages that have someone wearing a black t-shirt by default. And this kind of information that, it makes the analysis way more meaningful for the analyst. Now, the last one that I'd like to talk about, enriching data is cross data upload, and it's really, really important when it comes to analyzing marketing, your online marketing. And we're talking about AdWords here, and AdWords has an integration with Google Analytics that you can see all data from AdWords into Google Analytics. But some people, for some reason, use other platforms. I don't understand why, besides AdWords. So if you do that, one of the things that you should do is to, first of all, tag these campaigns, right? So if you look on Google Analytics on Google search for, Google Analytics campaign tags, you'll find it's a very simple thing. So for example, everyone coming from a Bing campaign or from a Facebook campaign, they should be tagged so that Google Analytics understand that they come from a Facebook campaign, right? Now, with that information, which is very simple to do, you will know how many people came from Twitter to my website, or from LinkedIn to my website, right, for a campaign, and what did they do on the website, how long did they stay, how many visits, and how much they purchased, right, how many conversions did I have from this campaign. Now, there is one very, very important thing missing, which is how much the campaign costs to me, right? That's because if I have £5,000 in revenue, is it good or bad? Depends, right? How much did I spend? Now, cost data upload is just that, so you can have CSV and Excel a spreadsheet, and you can upload to Google Analytics the cost of your campaign, and then suddenly you have a lot more information about each campaign, and then you can compare all your campaigns in Google Analytics, so you can use it as a centralized marketing, online marketing analytics platform. So that's very important. Just to remind, we talked about enriching data, annotations, which is a very important feature, dimension widening, widen your data, and cross data upload for for analyzing marketing content. Sharing. So we think at Google Analytics, we think that sharing data with your peers is very, very important because each person has a different perspective when it comes to looking at data. Each person knows something that other people don't know. So when you find something on Google Analytics, it's very important to share it with other people in your organization. And we built some features around that. The first one, we talked about segments, right? So you can grab a link of a segment. So you build something very smart, right? People that came to the website more than 3 times and spent more than £100 on the website, right? That's a smart segment that you build. And you think though this segment is a very important segment in the company. So you can grab a link and send to your peers, to your boss, to people that you manage, and then everyone can see the exact same segment that you were looking into, right? So that's a very important thing to share. Second, on dashboards, you can build dashboards on Google Analytics, customized dashboard, and we have quite a lot of features in it. So once you find perfect dashboard, you can share it with other people. You should look at this dashboard every week. That's something that you can share with other people. Now, custom reports, as I mentioned, you can use custom dimensions on your website, right? So for example, you have people that like cycling, people that like swimming, and people that like run, right? So this is specific to your website. Now you can build a table using this information and choosing whatever metrics you want, right? So I want to see how many visits we had to this type of people, what was the revenue, and what was the average revenue per visit, right? So you can create your own table, and then you can share that with other people as well. Now, channel groupings is something. So in Google Analytics, we have a section, multi-channel funnel, to look at how people came to a conversion on the website. This is very related to attribution as well, which is the next one. So you want to see what's the path that led people to purchase something on the website, right? So if they came through BBC and then through organic and then through CNN, then they converted, right? Now sometimes you'll have more than one type of visit, right? So you have CNN and you have BBC, which is a campaign that we create. And you want to group those together, CNN and BBC, to see, people came from BBC, then organic, and then twice through a campaign. You want to group that to be more analyzable. So once you do those channel groupings, you can share them as well with other people in the company. And last, attribution. I won't talk too much about attribution, but attribution basically, if you have, again, someone coming from BBC, then organic, and then email, right? They sign up for email, and then they come to the website through the email. Now, and then they buy something for £100. Now, who should get the credit? That's a question that there are some answers. There's not a definite answer, but you should divide the credit between the three. Maybe give more credit to the last one, more credit to the first one, give equal credit to everyone. So there are all kinds of techniques. But let's suppose you have figured out how much you want to distribute the credit. You want to distribute 25% to the first one, 50% to the second one, 25% to the third one, right? And you build a custom attribution model on Google Analytics. You can share this model with other people in the company so that they can. I won't talk too much about attribution because that's a large subject and we don't have 12 hours to spend here. But if you want, we can talk about that 12 hours. So now that's a lot of things, right? Google Analytics is a I think it's a very large product, and it's not something that, like Google search, you just have to type something and find, right? It's something that it may take a long time for you to implement in the company and start using and start making decisions using data. So where should you start, right? I like this cartoon. So I think many of you know this. We love software engineers at Google. Don't understand me wrong. And they do amazing things. But sometimes, and then it comes back to the process that I mentioned in the beginning. If you send a code to someone, implement on the website, they will do something that might be, wonderful, but that just they understand that, right? And you want everyone to understand that. So it's really, really important to plan for that. And when there's also very interesting quote by Churchill that he said, he who fails to plan plans to fail, right? So that's so not planning is a plan, right? So you should plan first of all, and I think the first place to start is with people, right? And one of the problems with analytics is that since the beginning, people used to refer to someone that does web analytics as a web analyst, and it's very hard to find all the sets of all the skills that you need in one person for succeeding with analytics. So I'd like to go through 3 very important sets of skills that you will need in the company to get analytics moving. Right? The first one, and I think it should always start with that, is business person, someone that understands the business and that knows the roadmap and knows what you're trying to achieve in 1 year, not just next month. So you should plan your analytics for the long run, not for the short run. So usually the business people are the people that don't know how to achieve that. Now, once you have this plan and this vision, you should get those people, Greeks, right? People that understand Greek letters, let's get analysts. So, analysts, right? The people that will, crunch the data and find the insights from the tool, and these people, they're very important as well. Now, the third ones are the developers, because you will need them, and very often, as I mentioned, it's not just uploading a code to the website. You will have to tweak the website. Sometimes you'll have to upload things to Google Analytics. So it's very important to have someone that understands how the website is built and that has access to the website as well. With that, let's go through some few takeaways. First of all, you should make tailor-made. You should build a tailor-made process, right? It's not something that you just grab a process from the web and then implement on the website. You should see what kind of people do you have and what kind of process do you have, and then see how analytics can be inserted into that. Second one, look at trends, not data points. Segment your customers. There is one Avinash Kaushik is digital marketing evangelist at Google. One of the things that he said once is that segment or die. Very simple. So you should always segment, because otherwise you won't succeed with analytics. That's the most important thing when it comes to analytics. Enrich your data, right? If you don't have rich data, you won't have rich insights. That's important to know. Sharing is caring, so share as much as you can with your peers. And start with people, it's very important. Thank you, and happy analyzing.